All right. Well, hello, everyone. This is Sebastian Traeger, Managing Director at Reliability, and welcome back to another episode of Reliability 4.0. As always, we're on a mission to help make the world a more reliable place through good reliability, the power of root cause analysis. And today, we are thrilled to be joined by a guest, Ernie Newmes from Enviva. Ernie, thank you so much for joining us today. We are thrilled to have you on the show.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks.
Just a little bit of background. Tell us a little bit about Enviva, your company, and just sort of your origin story about how you got into reliability engineering. So just, start with telling us a little bit about the company and then your background.
So Enviva takes scraps from sustainable sources of wood, and we make pellets out of them and displace coal in power plants, essentially. I think they're looking at some other uses, other types of fuel heating, but right now it's power plants. It's a green technology, and it's sustainable. We're busy, can't make enough, so it's good.
Yeah, that's great. Good business to be in.
Yeah.
And what's your origin story in terms of getting into the field that you're in?
So I started out in hazardous chemicals in the Midwest. And so with hazardous chemicals comes this need to keep it in the pipe. And that, you're going to do everything you can. And it just naturally gravitated towards, reliability as, following recognized and generally accepted good engineering practices. And that's how you do that. You do that by doing the PMs you're supposed to do to keep it in the pipe. That's really it in a nutshell. Early on, before I did the hazardous chem type work, I was involved with TQM. So I had a quality background. So quality and reliability, there's a lot of synergies there. Deming's awesome, and he's, the foundation of which you build reliability on. So quality and reliability are synonymous with each other. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
Yeah. Did you get into that field though out of college? Was it something you always wanted to do? Did you have kind of a back and forth kind of journey into it?
No, my first grown-up job out of college was with a company called AB Dick Company. And I was their supplies manufacturing engineer. And it was there that I got exposed to TQM, design of experiments. And this was back in the mid to late 90s. So, Six Sigma was a glimmer in people's eye back then. It wasn't as popular as it is today, but all that stuff has its roots in TQM.
Mm-hmm.
So being brought up with TQM mindset, working at AB Dick, and then turning around and starting to work for a paint company out near DeKalb, Illinois, I took some of that stuff with me and just independent study. So that's how I ended up where I did.
Good. Tell us something just kind of outside of work you enjoy doing. Just love to give our audience just a little bit of a personality of the folks we're talking to.
I coach my kids' teams. I do that pretty regularly. So practice was last night, and practice on Friday, and practice on Sunday. So that's what I do with most of my time. My son's baseball team. I was doing my daughter's softball team, but she decided that dance is more fun, so she's doing dance. I don't dance.
Love. Well, I've gotten to coach a lot of baseball as well. It's really fun. So glad you're doing it. It's a great way to be involved with your kids and the community. So that's fun that you get to do that. Well, you said you're living in Raleigh, but from the Midwest. So are you a Cubs fan? Who are your allegiances?
Yeah. Cubs fan. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, though, so we don't talk about that too much.
Sorry about the White Sox this year.
Oh yeah,
brutal year.
It's a brutal
good. Well,
year.
let's dive back into thinking about your work. We like to try to help people think about managing and organizing, thinking through goals or KPIs. For you all, what are some of the most important KPIs that you focus on?
So we have a fantastic amount of data. So we leverage Power BI for our data gathering. My boss is really good at creating Power BI tools for us to use. So a lot of it is we have an execution dashboard that tells us how are we doing and executing against the schedule. How are we doing around filling out our work orders properly? Are they charging hours? Are they answering the questions? Or are they skipping the questions? We can see that stuff on a daily basis and monitor. And then that is a springboard into being able to do the analysis of how effective are your PMs. What's your hit rate on your PMs? Are you never finding anything? Are you always finding something? Or are you hitting the sweet spot between 16 and 20%? What are you doing? And so my counterpart, I'm kind of the maintenance work process person, but my counterpart that deals more with the PMs, he's able to then improve them, cut them back, and massage them across our network, because we have 10 plants, soon to be 11. And so we like them all functioning and doing the same types of work. So there's some consistency around PM content across all of our network.
That's great. For that, I mean, are you pulling data directly out of SAP to build those dashboards? Is there another tool you're using?
So unfortunately, we don't have SAP, but we do have Dynamics, which is a Microsoft product. And we also have partnered with a company called Dynaway. They basically give us our user interface. Even the great SAP needs a user interface, and right down the block from this place is Prometheus, and they're world renowned for their interfaces with SAP. So they gave us drag and drop scheduling for maintenance work orders. You can get a little bit of a window to the world on an iPad or a computer while you're writing a work request. You can see what else is out there. Is there already a work request out there? What's the bill of material? All that stuff is on one screen. So it's a great tool. And then we use Power BI to flesh out the data. It's a natural fit, right?
Yeah. So one is kind of logging things. The other is for analyzing and prioritizing, it sounds like.
Right. Yeah. There really isn't anything in D365 that we use as a reporting tool. We generally are pulling the data out of Dynamics 365 with Power BI.
Good. Well, our company does a lot with root cause analysis. So of course I need to ask, how important is root cause analysis in your process? And where does it fall in your flow?
So I'm a huge root cause person. I love root cause analysis. It's when you have a small library of RCFA books that that you've got the bug. But the plan, do, check, act. Right? Did it go according to plan? If it didn't, why? So you can do the check and you can change your behavior and get better. That continuous improvement cycle, the PDCA cycle, right? So I use it consistently in my day-to-day life with failures and whatnot. We, as a company, we do have a training. They tend to use Think Reliability methodology here.
Great.
So I really like it when I get when I'm doing frontline supervision or when I'm doing maintenance management for a site. I generally put together an evidence bench so that parts don't get thrown away, because I don't like dumpster diving for parts. But I need the parts so I can understand what happened. I need the story, and then I like the mechanics to do a 5 why for me. That's usually the springboard to, if it becomes more important, then you do a more detailed assessment. In most cases, most companies I've worked for has been like a Think Reliability type cause map process.
That's great. And so for you all, then it sounds like you differentiate between sort of 5 whys is just do that quickly, and then if necessary, do more of like a logic tree or a map of what's going on.
Yeah, typically. And it's the way we did it I worked for Flint Hills Resources, and if it hit a certain threshold of pain, it was cause map.
Good.
And then when I then went from there over to Steppen, and I was doing the same thing. Big proponent of teaching and then hiring people to do training, not just for maintenance, but production people, safety people. How do you use these tools way beyond just reliability?
Yeah, so you're saying like everybody can be trained
Oh
using
yeah,
that
yeah,
methodology
absolutely.
and that
Oh,
tool.
I would sponsor it as the maintenance manager for Steppen when I was working for them, and we would go up to they had a warehousing building like off site, and they had a great training room, and just say, hey, whoever wants to be here can be here. And it's a couple $1,000s to have somebody there. I'd put my own people in it and just pack the house with people learning the methodology.
Yeah, what do you think from are gaps that you see just in doing root cause analysis, or is it lack of training, lack of software, lack of cultural buy-in? What would you say is typically the reason in your mind?
So at Enviva, I think that they don't think that they have time for it.
Okay.
And I don't think that our maintenance management, not all of it, right? But they are very concerned about today. And I think that's what's keeping them from saying, okay, these RCFAs can get rid of our bad actors so that I'll have more time for good PMs and I'll get more time to do something a little bit more strategic. And each day that you solve a bad actor using some sort of root cause analysis or just the mindset of why did this break and how do you make this not happen again? Um, I call it a CSI hat. You almost have a CSI hat when you show up to a broken piece of equipment and you say, this shouldn't have broke. I mean, you shouldn't snap shafts. There's something tragically wrong with that scenario. This I very rarely have ever seen anything wear out. It
Hmm.
usually suffers some sort of an event and breaks. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but that
Right.
bathtub curve of wearing out, I think it's back here somewhere, you know, 3 to 4%. That's about right. Maybe even less, especially as we lose talent, operators and mechanic talent. The failure rates are probably skewed more because we just don't have the same talent to run it or to fix it.
Hmm. Yeah, so in that sense, trying to identify bad actors ahead of time and bring a fix to them, identify other maybe pieces of equipment that are similar,
hmm
uh, is obviously going to get time back in the long run.
Yeah, and we Enviva actually has a conveyor company within itself, and we convey a lot of things. So we were actually able to use what we learned from failures directly to a design. So just for our industry, we've got a lot of really inventive solutions and very customized conveying systems.
Yeah, because you're effectively building that reliability into the design phase and not just,
Yeah,
and making
really.
sure you
Yeah.
front load that.
The DPIF curve, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but definitely we have our fingers in the D side of that, the design side, because we have our own with 10 plants and 11 another one soon to be up and running. Uh, that's kind of critical volume enough that we just have a conveyor company internally.
That's great. Well, that's it's been great talking. I want to hear before we wrap up just one thing about your experience or your field that you feel like you want to pass on to other maintenance managers, reliability engineers. That if you could kind of rewind or just a nugget of wisdom you want to leave with folks, what would that be?
The solution's always simpler than you think it is. You
Hmm.
know, you get we get fancy because it's cool, but your eyes are a remarkable tool to help you understand what's going on. Your AVO senses are amazing. Uh, just walk
Hmm.
around and you'll find stuff, and you don't necessarily need gizmos and gadgets to know your equipment's talking to you. Just sometimes you could use the good old fashioned ear to know what it's trying to say.
I like that, especially because so much of what we're trying to do on this podcast is try to expose people to technology and innovation. you can't ever, the basics of just like, actually, sometimes all those tools aren't as necessary as you think, right? If you know how to, if you know what you're looking for, you can probably find things without it all. So that's a good word for folks. Well, Ernie, it has been great talking to you. We are really thankful. Again, this has been Ernie Newmes. He's the corporate maintenance manager in Enviva. We're thrilled to have you on the show. And to all those listeners out there, we're really about helping engineers and really anyone take steps to more successfully solve problems, utilize technology, and make things work. And so if you're obviously, if you're specifically looking for any RCA training or resources and materials, please check out reliability.com. If you're looking to dig deeper into RCA, you can use our in-house software, Easy RCA. So again, Ernie, thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. And
Thanks.
That's all we have today, folks. And we encourage you, just want to encourage you in your journey to make the world a more reliable place. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care.